Then came the milestone of the political development in India, that is Government of India Act 1935. The Government of India Act 1935 constitutes the next milestone in the journey of constitutional development in India. This act was a detailed and complicated document consisting of 321 sections and 10 schedules. The most important feature of the act was the scheme of an all India federation composed of British Indian states were to be treated as one unit. The federation was voluntary and could not be established until the states had given their assent to join it. It is noteworthy that actually the requisite number of states, that means which required 50% of assent, never gave their consent to join the federation, and consequently it could not came into existence. The act introduced the system of diarchy at the center. It divided the federal subjects into two categories, reserved and transferred. The reserved subjects like defence, external affairs, etc. were to be administered by the Governor General in his discretion with the help of councillors appointed by him. The transferred subjects, on the other hand, were to be administered by the Governor General, could act contrary to the advice of the ministers if he thought it necessary to do so. Another notable feature of the Government of India Act 1935 was the introduction of provisional authority. It divided the legislative powers between the provincial and central legislature, and provinces were to be treated as autonomous units of administration rather than as delegates of the central government. The executive authority of the province was henceforth to be exercised by the governor on behalf of the crown and not as a subordinate of the Governor General. The governor was expected to act on the advice of the ministers who were responsible to the legislature. However, in certain matters, the governor could act without the advice of the ministers and exercise his individual judgment or discretion. The act provided a bicameral legislature at the centre consisting of Council of States and the Federal Assembly. The Council of State was to consist of 260 members representing the Indian states and British provinces, while the Federal Assembly was to be composed of 375 members. The two houses were given co-equal powers, even though the money bill could originate only in the Federal Assembly. The upper house could amend or reject a money bill. The difference between the two houses were to be resolved through joint sitting conveyed by the Governor General. Then came the Quit India movement of 1942. At the Bombay session, the Indian National Congress decided to launch a mass struggle on non-violent lines to free India from the British yoke. This movement came to be known as the Quit India movement. However, before the Congress could actually launch the movement, the government acted with great speed and arrested most of the leaders and declared the Congress as an illegal body. This led to a spontaneous popular revolt, and there were numerous instances of open clashes between the people, police as well as the army. People organized agitations and caused extensive damage to railway stations, telegraph wires, government buildings, etc. Though initially the agitation was confined to the urban areas, it soon spread over into the rural areas as well. The British adopted various brutal measures to suppress the revolt. Through this unprecedented repression, the British succeeded in keeping the nationalists under control for the remaining period of the war. Meanwhile, efforts were made by C. Rajagopalachari and Lord Wavell to resolve the constitutional tangle, but without any success. Then, Indian Independence Act of 1947. The passage of the Indian Independence Act of 1947 was the culmination of the constitutional and nationalist struggle of India. This act, passed by the British Parliament in July 1947, terminated the British rule in India on 15th August 1947 and gave birth to the creation of two dominions of India and Pakistan. Till the two dominations framed their new constitution, they were to be administered in accordance with the provisions of the Government of India Act 1935. The dominions were given power to make necessary modification in the act. This marked the end of the British rule in India and emergence of India as an independent nation. The Indian Independence Act of 1947 marked the end of an era of constitutional development under a foreign rule and ushered India into the era of self-rule and constitutional development through self-efforts. I hope today's discussion on the growth of politics in India in the past will help you in understanding the political system of India in the present. Thank you.